superiority is of a great strategic importance in the wars of the modern world. When an army achieves its air superiority, it provides an advantageous start to a war. However, this advantage can be turned into a disadvantage due to the various factors. For example, air superiority may not be used effectively, or the enemy forces may strike successful blows against air superiority. This is what the Russian military has been experiencing in recent days, and the Russian Air Force is in a meltdown. In recent days, the Ukrainian Armed Forces have again carried out an impressive operation. Ukrainian troops destroyed one of the warplanes sent by the Russian military to enter Ukrainian airspace and target Ukrainian positions. The rapid and successful operations of the Ukrainian Armed Forces caused serious damage to the Russian military. So what are the developments regarding the Russian plane shut down by the Ukrainian army? Let's review the details together. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring you developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. I also read all your comments on our videos. Please continue to express your opinion about our content in the comments. Let's start if you are ready. The Pioneer reports. The Ukrainian Armed Forces continue to put up a strong resistance against the Russian invasion. The Russian army is unable to capture Ukrainian positions with the infantry attacks because the Russian infantrymen are still not as competent and strong as their Ukrainian counterparts. And in face-to-face combat, Ukrainian infantry units easily neutralize Russian infantry. This is a testament to the determination and fighting ability of the Ukrainian army. With passing days, Ukraine's defense capability is getting stronger and stronger, and it continues to resist with the Russian occupation. The Russian armed forces are aware of the inadequacy of the Russian infantry and therefore use their strikes and heavy bombardments to soften up Ukrainian positions. This poses a serious challenge for the Ukrainian army, but the Ukrainian army knows how to deal with it. Recently, it was reported that a Russian warplane, which was going to carry out a bombing raid, was destroyed during the determined struggle of the Ukrainian military. This once again demonstrates Ukraine's strong and effective defense capabilities. The news about the recent downing of the Russian plane by the Ukrainian Armed Forces quickly spread throughout the social media platforms. Ukrainian Defense Ministry sources said that the following about the destroyed Russian aircraft. A new day, the destruction of a new Russian aircraft, and the Ukrainian fighters shot down a Su-34 fighter bomber in the eastern direction. Maybe Russia has started using the tactics of the kamikaze planes. The loss of another Su-34 fighter jet by the Russian Air Force has caused a great shock in Russia. The news was particularly noteworthy as it was the 12th fighter jet destroyed by the Ukraine in just 12 days. Russian sources expressed great anger and disappointment recently, and the Russian armed forces had published reports of destruction of the Ukrainian army's air defense systems. But this latest developments proved that their reports were untrue. Russian sources were surprised by these developments, which showed Ukraine's strength and determination. Ukrainian Air Force Commander Lieutenant General Mikhail Oleshchuk announced that the Russian fighter jet was shot down in the early morning. And in these statements, on the subject, Oleshchuk made the following statements. Today is a date that happens every 4 years, but for the Russians it is already a familiar day with the loss of another aircraft. Another Russian Su-34 fighter jet just destroyed in the eastern direction heroic Ukrainian soldiers. Thank you for your work. Ukrainian forces destroyed 12 Russian aircraft in 12 days, 8 Su-34, 2 Su-35 fighter jets, and 2 A-50 airborne early warning and control aircraft. In monetary terms, this cost the Russian military about $818 million. Perhaps this is due to the mass use of guided bombs in the battles of Avdiivka and now Kasyvar. But in order to shut them down, the aircraft must appear and approach to the Ukrainian air defense zone. The number of the enemy casualties has increased. So, victory to Ukraine. The Russian military has suffered serious losses in its air force in the last 2 weeks, and this makes it clear that the Russian Air Force is not as strong as it claims. As Lieutenant General Oleshchuk pointed out, artillery activity on the Kasyvar and the Donetsk front line cannot explain the losses suffered by the Russian Air Force. For the Russian Air Force to suffer such losses, it would require the use of longer range and faster firepower. This confirms the allegations that the Russian Air Force is trying to enter Ukrainian airspace. The Russian Air Force has been suffering heavy losses in recent days, and the president of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, is shaken to the core every day by these losses, and in order to hide his grief, he organizes ceremonies attended by the Russian servicemen. However, even the organization of these ceremonies can sometimes be costly. Recently, a ceremony was held near the border with the Russian troops. However, this ceremony ended with a surprise prepared by the Ukrainian Armed Forces. The HIMARS attacks by the Ukrainian Armed Forces caused great shock because this was the third HIMARS attack in just 1 week. Moreover, the Russian army had suffered heavy losses in all of these attacks during this 1-week period. According to reports, the Ukrainian Armed Forces units managed to neutralize 19 Russian soldiers on the parade ground and wounded 12 Russian soldiers with their HIMARS attacks. These attacks seriously disturbed Russia's military plans and demonstrated Ukraine's power. This loss suffered by the Russian army is quite serious because, according to reports, the Russian army had intended for Russian soldiers to gain motivation and have fun at the ceremony that took place here. However, things did not go as planned. This ceremony, which was organized for the motivation of the Russian soldiers, unexpectedly had the opposite and the effects and caused a great loss of motivation. Ukrainian sources made the following statements about this operation. Near Podokaliivka in Kherson region, there was a mass liquidation of the Russian invaders. Not everyone could survive the HIMARS attacks, and so it happened. A large number of Russian invaders were destroyed by HIMARS missiles fired by the heroic Ukrainians. Military experts also made remarkable statements about this attack. The following statements were used in these statements. The Ukrainian army has significantly increased its operational capabilities, and the heavy losses suffered in one go are a big disaster for the Russian army. Pro-Russian meal bloggers are also harshly criticizing the government on this issue. According to observed situation, the Ukrainian army continues to deal heavy blows to the Russian army in all fronts. The Russian army is helplessly watching Putin's mistakes, and it is quite likely that we will see the similar attacks in future. So, do you think that the losses suffered by the Russian army against Ukraine could lead to a change in Russia's defense strategy? Or how do you assess the impact on Russia's strategic defense capabilities in light of the Ukrainian military's recent offensives? Let me know in the comments, because I read and I care about all of your comments.